Hey guys, my name is Kaylee. Thanks for clicking on the video. This is a Read Rant Review, where, you guessed it, I read books and I do rant reviews. I read a bunch of crazy books and then I sit here and I tell you all about it. This week, I'm doing a book that you guys voted on, and I highly regret giving you guys the power to vote. Now, full disclosure, it's my problem. I put the options in the poll. So today we're doing a dark romance. We have not done a dark romance in quite a while on the channel. It is Hooked by Emily McIntire. 397 pages, published in 2021, and currently on Goodreads, it's sitting at a 3.77. Usually I say a whopping, but a 3.77 is kind of like meh. And it's at almost 500,000 ratings. This is part of Emily's Never After series that is very distinctly, very clearly, she says in the opening, these are not retellings. This is just very loosely inspired. Hooked is Peter Pan. Previously had done Scarred by her, which is the second book in the series, and that is a whitewashed Mufasa story. It happens in England. I don't know. I hated this book. I'm not going to lie to you. I wanted to stop when I got to chapter 6, and I powered through because I said, hey, the more I hate something, usually the more that y'all like it, you little sicko frickos. That's what we're here for. So I will go ahead and read you the book description off of Goodreads so that you know what we're getting into. I'll give you a couple disclaimers. We'll cover a couple other little basics about the book, and then we'll dive right in. I am, full disclosure, filming this on, I think that's the second time I've said that in 3 minutes. I don't know. Am I okay? You can tell I'm still in work mode. So I'm filming this on November 5th, and this is going up tomorrow on November 6th. It is currently 5:30 p.m. The video will be going live in less than 24 hours, and I have to film, edit, upload, and do all the shenanigans that goes along with that. So we're going to do this quickly. I love when I do this to myself. If I am anything, I am a beezy that loves a challenge. So I'm going to go through this one pretty fast for that reason, and also because, to be quite frank, I hated this book. This book was not very good writing quality, not a very good story, it didn't flow very well, didn't make a lot of sense, there wasn't a lot of character building. I was not a fan. And there's really nothing, usually the bulk of my reviews ends up being quotes that I read aloud because I think they're meaningful or valuable or add something. The couple of quotes that I will be reading to you today were out of sheer disgust, and because I had to read it, you have to hear it, is more of where it's coming from today. So it should be pretty quick overall. I don't know. We'll figure this out together, okay? Anyway. Sorry. Oh, every time I'm I gotta shake it out. Book description. He wants revenge, but he wants her more. James has always had one agenda: destroy his enemy, Peter Michaels. When Peter's 20-year-old daughter Wendy shows up at James's bar, he sees his way in, seduce the girl, and use her for his revenge. It's the perfect plan, until things in James's organization begins to crumble. Suddenly, he has to find the traitor in his midst, and his plan for revenge gets murkier as James starts to see Wendy as more than just a pawn in his game. Wendy has been cloistered, wow, that's a word I wasn't expecting to see today, most of her life by her cold, wealthy father, but a spontaneous night out with friends turns into an intense and addictive love affair with the dark and brooding James. As much as she knows James is dangerous, Wendy can't seem to shake her desire for him. But as their relationship grows more heated and she learns more about the world he moves in, she finds herself unsure if she's falling for the man known as James or the monster known as Hook. It's so stupid. Hooked is a contemporary romance set in the real world. It has dark themes which may be triggering. Full list of content warnings can be found on the author's website, which I do love. I will say that. Emily McIntire does have a website dedicated to the trigger and content warnings. Some people have given feedback on that, though, and said that they didn't like that and that it should be provided in the book itself as an option to skip it, because not everybody with access to the book necessarily has access to the website. And also, what happens when, she stops paying for that domain and then it's just lost into the ether and now people don't have a reference. which are all like valid critiques. I understand that. But at bare minimum, at least we are getting that as an option provided by the author in some capacity, which I'm grateful for. So I will go ahead and give my disclaimers, which will include the trigger and content warnings. First things first, like I said, I didn't like this book, okay? Don't watch this video, don't comment, don't make it weird. If you liked this, I love that so much for you. I will catch you in the next video. This review is not for the author or friends, family, stans, anything of the like. Right, again, say it with me, don't make it weird. We're all just here to have a giggle and yip yap about a dumb book, okay? The second disclaimer is that this will obviously contain all of the spoilers. If you want to go and read this book, I encourage you to do so. We all have free will. I don't know, do what you do. And then the third and final disclaimer is the content or trigger warning that I like to put on all my videos so that you know what we're getting into. On Emily's website, there is explicit S scenes, breath play / choking, there's torture, ending people's lives, physical assault, kidnapping. This book does contain like reference and depiction of all sorts of abuse toward minors. I will obviously be glossing over that very, very heavily, but it will be mentioned, and if you do read the book, it is mentioned a lot more in detail on that of all of the types of abuse toward children, okay? So just a very, very clear, explicit heads up about that. Now, where do we begin? I think we should begin with the author's note. Oh, actually, no, we need to begin with the playlist so we can also set the tone here. I love when they put playlists in books, and I don't know if I'm saying that ironically or not. I genuinely, or sarcastically, I don't know how I feel. Sometimes I love it, and then sometimes, like this one, the first song on the list is Lost Boy by Ruth B., and I just roll my eyes. Or there's one called In the Shadows by Amy Stroop, Look What You Made Me Do by Taylor Swift, Ocean Eyes by Billie Eilish, Lifetime by Justin Bieber, there's another Billie Eilish, Lady Gaga, 21 Pilots, and Halsey are all on this list as well. So, I don't know, do with that what you will. The author's note, I do believe, is important to provide some context for what we're getting into. Hooked is a dark contemporary romance. It is an adult fractured fairy tale. It is not fantasy or a retelling. The main character is a villain. If you're looking for a safe read with redemption and a bad guy turned into a hero, you will not find it in these pages. Sorry, that's probably not the intent, but that's how it reads to me. Hooked contains mature and graphic content that is not suitable for all audiences. Reader discretion is advised. I highly prefer for you to go in blind, but if you would like a detailed triggered warning list, you already got it from me. But she does have it, like I said, on her website, emilymcintire.com. Okay, you little freaks. Are you ready to get into this? Let's go. Our book opens with a prologue. And yeah, I'm reading a prologue. Fuck. Oh. You know what? I'm not even going to try and be sarcastic and be rude. That was the universe. That was my subconscious stopping me from making a snarky comment. So our prologue opens with James, who is Hook, killing his uncle. Oh, and by the way, I do want to make this very clear. I am not a Peter Pan girly. Yeah, I have no idea anything about Peter Pan. I know he's like a child forever, and Wendy wakes up one night and he takes her to Neverland, and then there's some Lost Boys, and Hook is the bad guy, and that's about the extent of it. I think I watched the movie when I was younger, obviously. Did not retain anything from it. It's not like I rewatched it a whole bunch, so I'm going to say a bunch of names in here that I'm like, I think I've heard that before, and I think that might be important, but genuinely and truly, this means nothing to me. And so reading it, a fractured fairy tale version of this doesn't really do anything, like it doesn't impact me in any way because I'm like, I don't know who these people are anyway. And so if I say something and you're like, oh my God, that's the most insane interpretation of Peter Pan I have ever heard in my entire life, and I don't react, that's why. So I just, you know what I mean? I just want to level set with you here. I have no idea. I have no point of reference here. I have a very, very vague, fuzzy memory of a movie that I watched 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So James Hook Barry kills his uncle, and there is reference to his uncle abusing him as a child in all of the ways and that this was kind of like a revenge thing. Like he's just been waiting, and his uncle had, you know, completely ruined his life and had been abusing him for years and years and years. And a lot of that happened because his parents died when he was younger. And so now he is on this like revenge plot to now go and get revenge, right, on the man who caused all of this, the one responsible for everything, his parents' death, him being abused, etc., etc. He is currently employed by a guy named Rufus, or Rue. I don't know. That's his quite literal partner in crime and guy that he works for, okay? So that's like the context. We have a very, very abused, angry 18-year-old who is now on his way for vengeance. In chapter 1, it opens with Wendy Michaels, who lives in Bloomberg, Massachusetts. Her father and her younger brother had just moved here recently, and she's trying to get used to it. Her father is like incredibly rich. He owns an airline. Her mother passed away when she was young. It was pretty immediate after her little brother was born that her mom had passed away. So it's just the three of them moving up to Massachusetts, having a new beginning, whatever. Her brother is now in high school. She is supposed to be in college, but she's choosing not to go because she wants to stay and support her brother and like be around and try to like keep the family together. And she doesn't have to work, but she does because she's just trying to pass time and fill kind of like a void in her life. And so to fill her time, she ends up finding a job at a coffee shop. And so she's a barista at a place called Vanilla Bean. And she is best friends with her coworker named Angie. Is giving her major crap because she's like, hey dude, you've lived here and like you don't do anything. You've been here for months now. You don't go anywhere. You never go out with us. Like I'm pretty sure you like don't have any other friends, so you need to come out with us. There's another coworker there who is like a total beezy for no reason. Like she's just mean. She's just a mean girl. And again, kind of bullies her into going out. And so in chapter 2, they convince her to go to a place called the Jolly Roger, which is a local bar, and just go out for a little night out. Just go and chill. Now, in chapter 2, from James's point of view, it has been 8 years since the prologue. So assumably he is now 26 years old, and he is completely like up and running this illegal operation with this like Rufus guy. And they, illegal operation, you say? Well, yeah, they are selling drugs, particularly one called pixie dust. This is primarily out of the bar club thing called the Jolly Roger. Yes, the one in which Wendy is going tonight with her friends. And so he and Rue are like hanging out at the Jolly Roger, keeping an eye on things, doing their little illegal operations in the back. And this is how they like launder the money, is through the club. They just say that that's how they made it. You know what I mean? You like clean the money. Regardless, they're having a little chit chat in the back office. And Rue is saying that he wants to get in business with a guy named Peter Michaels. Yes, Wendy's father, Peter Michaels. He is new to the area, and turns out, homie with his little airplane thing that he's got going on, he's just shipping illegal shit. And so he's wanting to partner up with Rue, get in on it, and start distributing pixie dust for Rue and have like a little partnership thing going on. Now, turns out that Peter Michaels, this is so convoluted. Peter Michaels, Wendy's father, had partnered with Hook's father and then killed him. Peter Michaels is the one that was referenced in the prologue as the guy that's like responsible for it all, because homie killed Hook, or James, right? Hook's dad, family, everybody, and thought he killed him too, okay? Hook is this like mystery child that should have died and then got taken in by his uncle and abused and whatever, but like nobody knows that he exists. Like, right, he was supposed to die in this airplane crash like the rest of his family. And so he has had this like secret simmering revenge plot in the background to go after the Peter Michaels guy. And so Rue does not know this. Rue only knew about the revenge thing against Hook's uncle because he was abused by him. He has no idea about this whole Peter revenge plot thing. And so when Rue brings up wanting to partner with Peter for this drug running thing, he's upset, but he can't say that because he's like, I don't want to ruin my plans. I've had plans this whole time and I can't tell anybody. But he tries to convince Rue of like, that's not a good idea. You know, like we shouldn't do that. But also, Like, I trust Rue with, like, my whole life. Like, he, you know, means everything to me. He saved me from a bad situation. Like, it's been 8 years of us working together. Like, okay, whatever he thinks is best, I guess. One of the workers at Jolly Roger, and I'm only going to say his name once in case it has some significance in the, like, Peter Pan universe. His name is Starkey. He comes in the room and he says, hey, bosses, there are 3 girly pops outside screaming at security because she is underage trying to get in here because she's 20 and you need to be 21 to go into this particular club. And James, Hook, looks at the security footage and he sees Wendy and he's like, oh my God. Instantly, just like taken aback by her. And it tells Rue, I have a sudden appetite for something pretty. And Rue chuckles, saying, just make sure they're legal. Oh, okay. So with that, they let the girls inside the club, and James, Hook, is going to go and talk to them. And then Rue is going to go and talk to Peter about doing this whole, like, business deal thing, and they go their separate ways. In chapter 3, we're back in Wendy's point of view. And she, the mean girl that they were with previously, the mean girl that she works with that I mentioned previously, she is there and she's like, oh my God, there's this guy named Hook. He's so hot. He's like such a freaking babe. It's absolutely insane. Just like drooling over this guy. And Wendy has no idea who he is. But when she goes to the bathroom, she ends up, and I quote, she ends up running into somebody. Shit, I'm sorry. My hands reach up instinctively, landing against a solid wall of muscle. How many times has that happened in one of these books? I swear to God that needs to be on like a bingo card. Rough palms grasp my shoulders, goosebumps sprouting along my skin from the heat of the stranger's touch. Filthy words from such a pretty mouth. It was one word. She shed shit. You said words plural. Get your story straight. Yeah, that's their introduction. He tries to seduce her immediately. She rebuffs it and just goes to sit down, but she's like low key, high key, super, super attracted to him, but doesn't want to admit it. Okay. She goes back to her friends and they just party all night. And while she does that, James goes back into the office area and just keeps an eye on her, and he knows exactly who she is. Like, again, he wants revenge on Peter, so he knows exactly who Peter's family is, who Wendy is, and is thinks that she's really, really attractive. And so he starts like fantasizing about her, and particularly about doing it with her on top of her father's corpse. Oh. Or my lengthens at the thought of driving inside her until she breaks, leaving wounds that scar with the reminder that I was there, tarnishing her innocence and then tossing her at her father's feet, a defiled version of the girl he bred. Oh. It was at that point that I wasn't going to read this book anymore. Yeah, I had no interest. I said, big freaking yikes. That's absolutely disgusting, and I remembered why I don't read dark romances. I don't think that that's attractive. Hey, plot twist, hot take, that's not hot. In the way that he talks about, he calls her Pet. Her nickname from him is Pet. And we'll unpack it and we'll talk about some more of the issues and stuff that I have with this book and with this relationship, but it's just like grody to me, and I didn't like it. That's all. What the hell? What are we doing, guys? What are we doing? And why are we doing it? And who okayed this? And I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but some people's yums are, in fact, yucky. You know? Anyway, so he's just like being really, really gross. And it's not even the worst part, because thinking about all of this, he calls in one of the waitresses. Well, the waitress from here, there's only one. Her name is Moira, and she's also a mean girl, but we'll talk about that later. He calls in the waitress. We'll just call her that. She comes inside. He's about to come inside. So she's, sorry. What the fuck? She... He calls her to his office to perform things for him and like get him off while he continues thinking these like crazy thoughts about Wendy. And afterward, Rue returns and he's like, dude, what the frick? That Peter Michaels guy didn't even show up to our meeting. He sent some Joe Schmo dude, and like I'm really, really pissed off about it. And like we have to send a message. Like I'm gonna meet with him next time, and like you're gonna come with me this time. Because the other reason too that he didn't want Hook to come was because he's very intimidating, and he's like, I want to set, I want to have this meeting on like good terms and like try to like establish an actual working relationship. I don't want to bring in the big guns. But now he's like, no, this guy's obviously disrespectful. Like we need to set the tone right. So we're gonna have another meeting with Peter, and you're gonna come with me. Says, aye, aye, Captain. And then Hook decides to leave because Wendy is leaving and he wants to follow her home. Oh. Oh, and he's like, yeah, she's mine. Oh, awesome. I love it here. If I wasn't at my kitchen island, like bound to the floor, I would flip it. If this was a table, I would flip it right now. Okay. So we go into chapter 5. And Wendy is talking to her brother, Jonathan, and he is excited to do homeschooling. He gets bullied a lot at school. This is a big deal for him, going to this new place. He's like, hey, I just want to go to school at home. Like, I don't want to go somewhere and get like bullied all the freaking time. And the father had approved of this idea. And so they're all very, very excited about it. And there is the, I don't know, kind of like establishment foundation that we're given here, that Wendy is like a daddy's girl, and then John is a little bit more distanced and has trouble like connecting with his father. And so she really kind of steps in, both as like a maternal position because of the mother passing away, and also just in general as like the only parent and like caring parental figure that this kid has. So with that, she says, okay, well, I'm gonna go to my job. She goes to the Vanilla Bean. She's making up coffee for the guy. She ends up falling down, slipping, dropping the guy's drink, and then he's a total like douchebag to her about it. And in the time when she had fallen, somebody else had entered the cafe, and so the other customer heard all of this, like her being berated. Turns out it was Hook. He came to pay her a visit. And the guy continues to be really, really rude to Wendy until Hook steps in and tells the guy to screw off, basically. The guy does. He goes to leave. She comforts her. He comforts her, rather. And he's like, hey, you deserve better than that. And like, you're a real class act. putting up with the way that man treated you. Like, that's really cool. You should come on a date with me. And she rejects him again because she's like, I don't know, not a fan of how hard that he's coming onto her and how aggressive that he is, just kind of in general, like the air about him and the way that he talked to this other guy, just kind of scary and kind of a turn off, right? But when he leaves after she rejects him, she's like, oh my God, though, like he's kind of cute. And I kind of wish that I would have said yes, because like, oh my God, I hate this woman. I hate her. So yeah, she's like, oh my God, he's so hot. I feel like, what is that? What's the little animated monster show with I was going to say Amy Poehler's husband. Oh my God, Will Arnett. What is Will Arnett's? Is that who it is? Am I thinking of the wrong thing? Will Arnett cartoon? Fuck, what am I thinking of? What's it's the little monster. I'm going to look up monster puberty. Big Mouth. That's not Will Arnett. Nick Kroll. That's who I was thinking of. Who's he married to? Lily Kwong. Oh, okay. I'm not crazy. Nick Kroll and Amy Poehler were together. Okay, until like 2015. Jesus Christ, I am way behind on my knowledge of people. Okay, that makes me feel better. At least I didn't like make that up in my freaking head. So anyway, I felt like a Big Mouth character. You like the derail there for me to have to Google something that wasn't even like a relevant joke. Like, it's not even funny anymore. So much for doing this fast. So she, while she's sitting there, dreamily thinking of this mystery coffee shop man that stuck up for her, he is in a basement torturing the guy that was rude to her, and, saying how all he did was show disrespect, and, he doesn't deserve to live, ends up offing the dude. And the twins are like his right-hand men. He tells the twins to deal with it and to clean it up. And then he stares at a picture that he has of Peter and Wendy again and is just like fantasizing. Awesome. Still bloodied. Awesome. This is so cool. This is so funky, fun, and fresh. I'm having such a good time right now. I'm having this is why I talked about Big Mouth for 5 minutes. In chapter 7, we cut back to Wendy, and she is on the phone with her father begging him to come home. She was like, hey dude, you made us move here and you said that if we did you would be home a lot more, and you're not. And she is very meek around her father and has a hard time like expressing all of the things that I'm saying to you. So I want you to imagine the hey dad, I feel like you're just not spending enough time with us. But times 10 of the like awkward withholding, you know, dad, I don't know. You're just not here enough, okay? Like, I wish you were like around more, you know? That's how she talks. And I wanted to like strangle this woman. She's 20, she's immature, that's fine. I understand that. The indecision, like not being able to just say something was driving me absolutely freaking bonkers. But she tells her dad this, and he's like, don't worry, you know, I'll be around more. And then all of a sudden there's a woman's voice in the background, and she's like, oh my God, you're literally not even working, are you? And he's like, don't worry about it. And then, hey, also, by the way, I'm sending your brother to boarding school. He's not going to do homeschooling. And she's like, you have to come home. You have to tell him in person. Don't put that on me. That's not fair. And he says, we'll figure it out. Sorry, little shadow. That's his nickname for her, is Little Shadow. They hang up and they go about their ways. And by their ways, I mean the fact that her friends text her again and invite her to go to that club again because mean girl wants to try to run into Hook and hit on him or whatever. And so she agrees because she's like, screw you, Dad. I'm going to the bar. And she accepts this also because she kind of wants to run into her crush. She doesn't realize yet that Hook is James. We know that, but she does not know that yet. In chapter 8, from James's point of view, this is the chapter where we get a lot of the background information that I talked about before about like, he grew up wealthy in England. They moved to America to partner with like Peter. And then Peter ended up like being responsible for the death of James's entire family. And so now he's doing the whole revenge thing. You know, we learn about Rue taking him under his wing, doing all that stuff. It's just like the, exposition, I guess, or whatever of his past. But I already told you, so I don't really care. The only thing in terms of like Peter Pan references is he pulls out a lighter that Rue gave him that has an engraving on it that says straight on till morning. So do with that what you will. He's in the middle of a interrogation with some dude, but then gets distracted when he sees Wendy come into the club on the security cameras. And so then he's like, oop, interrogation over. And then goes on so he can go and flirt with his girl. And so in chapter 9, that's exactly what happens. Wendy's down there with her girls. They're having a drink. They're hanging out. And then James comes over, just like stands over them and asks for her name again. And then her two friends that are with her are like fangirling over her, not her, but like over the situation. And the mean girl's really, really pissed off that James is giving her all of the attention and how weird it is and how she's not even like that hot. Like, oh my God, why do you even want her? Like, I'm a ready and willing participant, like just blah, 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 blah. But he ignores the other women and he's like, Wendy, no, seriously, like you should go on a date with me. And then right as they're about to continue the conversation, and he gets called away, but he says, Wendy, no matter what happens, like, I want you to wait for me though, okay? Like, I'm going to come back and we're going to finish this conversation. Don't leave this bar. She says, okay. And then she waits all night for him after explaining to her friends, no, seriously, I had no idea that that's who Hook was. You know, I know him as James. I don't know who Hook is. That's so crazy. I had no idea it was the same guy. Sorry. I wasn't trying to steal your man. Bunch of jealousy, bunch of like awkward tension between the girls. Again, hang out all night. He never shows back up. Eventually they go to leave and they pile into the cab. And as they do, one of his like henchmen comes out and they're like, hey, you're not supposed to leave. James wants you. Or Hook, right? Everybody calls him Hook. She's like the only one that calls him James because that's how close they are. What do you want me to do? You want me to stick with one? You want me to say both? I don't know. I'm just saying both to you, okay? Figure it out. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know why I'm being so rude today. My bad. But it goes back and forth in the book. But she's the only one that calls him James. I don't think anybody else knows that that's his actual name. Regardless, they're like, hey, Hook wants you. You should stay. And she decides to stay because, God forbid, God forbid anything. I don't know. And in chapter 11, she goes up to his office and they flirt. And she like throws herself all over him. I think because she was kind of spurred on by the jealousy of the mean girl and some of the really, really rude comments about like, you're not good enough for him. I don't even know why he's interested in you. And so then she's like throwing herself on James in response to that. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Don't look at me like that. They're like about to kiss when Rue walks into the room and interrupts. And then instead he's like, hey, let me take you on a date tomorrow, and like walks her down to a cab and like gets her to go home. Instant tension and attraction between these two, okay? And I'm just gonna tell you now, she's a virgin because, again, it needs to be on a bingo card. She is a virgin, and he had, oh my God, why did that come into my brain? I was gonna say he had a woman giving him sloppy toppy. Watching security footage of her. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Right? I hate that dynamic. I hate that dynamic so freaking much, bro. I hate it here. But anyway, so he sends her away. She goes home, and the next day she's trying to pick out this outfit for this date with him. She's like freaking the frick out about it. But she's also really, really happy because I think it was that night or interaction or something when she was introducing herself to him. And she was like, do you know Peter Michaels? And he was like, no. Who's that? And she's like, it's my dad. And then she's like, I'm so glad that he doesn't know who my dad is because I don't want him to judge me. Because she lives in a mansion and she's really, really rich and stuff. And so from her perspective, she has no idea that her dad does anything illegal. She just thinks that he's like a rich airline owning, having looking dude. So she's always afraid for people to find out that her dad is this really, really rich guy because she doesn't want people to treat her different because of that. And so when James? Yes. When James says that he doesn't know who her father is, she's like, this is perfect. He couldn't be a more perfect man. And so she's reflecting on this as she's picking out these dresses to go on this date with him, right? And then she runs into her brother, and there's like, again, she feels really, really bad because he's not going to be able to be homeschooled, and the dad still hasn't told him, and she doesn't want to tell him. So there's just, I don't know, this whole side thing with the brother is strange to me, but we'll get there. They meet at the coffee shop because, again, she doesn't want James to know where she lives. She doesn't want him to know that she lives in a mansion. So they meet at the coffee shop. They get in the car together, and he takes her to the yacht that he lives on called Tiger Lily. And this is where the implication, this is where I ask myself, in what world would I have to be in to walk into a man's home in general on a first date, to go into a private, secluded, like, home in general is like already kind of like pushing it for me personally. That's a me thing. I understand. Could never be me. And to get on a man's boat? On a boat? I just feel like you're asking to die. What do you mean? And the implication, by the way, is like a Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference. Dennis, who is arguably the creepiest, most uncomfortable character in the entire world to me. I hate Dennis. He wants to rent a boat and have girls come on it because when you have a woman on a boat and you're in the middle of the water, they can't say no to you because of the implication. Implication being you'll like throw them overboard, right? It's really terrible. It's a really, really horrible thing. Always Sunny in Philadelphia is like such dark, terrible humor, but it's so freaking hilarious. Anyway, she gets on this boat. I'm just trying to talk about anything other than this stupid fucking story. She gets on his boat. It's called Tiger Lily. He has his first mate is named Smee. It's his like right-hand man. He stays like particularly on the boat and just does boat maintenance stuff and like chef, cleaner, I don't know. Is that what a first mate does? I'm not sure what that title entails, but homie just like takes care of the boat and does everything on there. And they have this dinner, and then there's like some weird accusations where he's like, you're being so fake right now. You're just giving me like fake smiles. And she's like, I'm not, but okay, I won't give you any fake reactions or fake emotions, but you're not even letting me get to know you. You're just showing me all of your like possessions. You're just like showing off all this stuff you own. You're not showing me who you are. And then she goes and sits on his lap, and then they make out. Okay. Yeah, and then they go and like do some stuff on a yacht. They're docked, at least, so they're not like sorry. So at least they're not like in the middle of the water, I guess. But still, they go and do some stuff, and like he chokes her because she's like, yeah, I'm into that. And I'm like, girl, you're a virgin. What do you mean? You can't. Okay. I mean, you can. I'm not. Whatever. We're not unpacking that. And she lies to him about like her experience. Which maybe that's why he's a little bit more comfortable doing what he does next, because he abides by this and he, you know, chokes her, but not in like a hot fun way, but in a way that like leaves marks, like completely red marks that are there until the next morning. Huh? You almost killed her. What do you mean? That's not a way. That's not appropriate. And he's just being like very, very possessive, and the stuff that he says is like kind of freaking her out a little bit, but she's also like, I'm kind of into it though. I kind of like this like possessiveness of his. Although off-putting, I like a man who knows what he wants, is her thought process here. Anyway, he gives it to her so good that she passes out. Okay. And he immediately is like, oh my God, I think I have romantic feelings for this woman. This really, really sucks because I'm just going to use her. Like the whole plan was to use her to get back at her father and then to completely ruin her life. But now I don't know if I want to do that anymore because she's like hot or cute. I don't know. It's not like he knows anything about this girl, this woman. She's 20. She's, you know what I mean? She's 20 with like no life experience, like no life experience, no like partnered experience or like intimate experience. She's just this little fresh slate 20-year-old that he is just doing this crazy stuff to, and it just makes me so sad to read these things, and it's like so frustrating to me that then people are like, oh my God, 5 stars, so sexy. Anyway, he is reflecting that he might be getting romantic feelings for her. He is talking to Smee about this, and Smee makes a comment about her being a nice girl, and that kind of makes him spiral as he's realizing, like, she is a nice girl, you're right. Like, maybe what I'm doing is terrible. And so he goes into his room. He finds Wendy. She has woken up, and she makes a joke where she's like, yeah, I woke up and I didn't know where I was, you know, tee-hee, ha-ha, I thought I was kidnapped, you know, ha-ha, Stockholm Syndrome. Oh, okay. All right. And he takes her home. Okay. Awesome. I love it here. Chapter 16. They are preparing for the meeting with Peter. Like Rue and James Hook are preparing for this meeting. And he's worried that Peter will recognize him. Like if he looks too much like his father, that Peter will recognize who he is. But that does not happen. So that's good, at least. We also get some more kind of like sentimental talks between he and Rue, where Rue says, yeah, you're the closest thing that I've ever had to a son, you know, glad to be here with you, bud. Awesome. Go to this meeting. They meet with Peter and his assistant named Tina Bell. Named Tina Bell, and they make some like pretty ridiculous proposals where they're like, yeah, you know, we want like 40% of the profit if we're going to be doing the transport for you, but that's the partnership that we want. They get in like a whole argument back and forth. There's a little bit of disrespect. There's a little bit of like, you know, swinging contest between these guys that pretty much ends with Peter walking away, and he's like, you got 3 days to figure out what you want to do. And James is pissed off about this, but he's also like, okay, well, I don't really care about any of this because as much of an a-hole as he is, I know that I'm going to enact my revenge plan, right? So he doesn't, whatever. In chapter 17, I'm about to say he a lot, and I'm meaning he as in Peter. Because he was here on business, he decides that, oh yeah, I do have children that I should probably go and see. Who goes, has dinner with them, and then goes up to his office, and Wendy confronts him about him like prioritizing his work over her and her brother, and she ends up having like a meltdown and sitting on the floor crying, like holding her knees to her chest, sobbing about how he doesn't prioritize them. And again, I feel like I should be sympathetic to this. I feel like I should be like feeling some type of way, but I feel like so much of this really like infantilized her and made her seem immature, and then immediately like sexualizes her kind of like in the same breath, where there was oftentimes references, and we'll talk about them I guess more specifically as we go, but where it's like, where my father failed, James really steps in and then like bones him. And there was just, just like Freud was just having a field day in his grave, I think, when this was written. He was just thriving, I guess. I don't know, man. It was just weird, and I didn't like it. It just left a real bad taste in my mouth. But anyway, she makes him promise that he will tell her brother about the boarding school thing in the morning. And just kidding, she wakes up in the morning and her dad's already gone. Awesome. Sorry for the angle change. You guys are standing on a roll of paper towels. This is a little precarious to have my laptop on, I'm not going to lie, but maybe this will help me get out some of my anger a little bit more. You know what I mean? I can shake it out a little bit. I can shake it out a little better than just trying to flip a table constantly. Chapter 18, we are in James's POV, and he talks about Peter, who used to go by the name Pan when he was running drugs on the street in South Florida. And then he got into this whole airline thing, and now he's this like big wig rich guy that's like really known for like making his enemies disappear because he has access to all these airports around the world. James is going to one of the businesses in the area to collect money because in a true mafia style, they're like, you have to pay us for protection. And the guy says, I already paid a woman like 3 days ago. What are you talking about? And he says, no, you didn't. Sorry, sucker, you fell for something. I don't know why anybody would say that. And he's like, dude, seriously, like I just paid a woman. She said that it was you or that it was for you or whatever. And doesn't ask what the woman looked like, doesn't ask anything, just says, well, figure it out. And then has the twins go and beat this poor man up to get money out of him. I don't know. It's just a douchey move. And when he goes to leave the business, he runs into Wendy and her coworker, and they kiss like immediately. They smooch, and then he's like, "Don't worry, girls. Drop my name anywhere in the city. Say you're with Hook, and you'll get anything you want for free." Okay, back to Wendy's POV. She finds out that her dad told her brother about the boarding school thing over the phone. And so she's like, okay, well, hey, I'm sorry that your dad sucks and has completely failed you. I want to drive you to the boarding school and drop you off and stuff. And so that'll happen the next day, that she'll take him to school. But in the meantime, after he had kissed her, he told her to come to the club again that night so that, or no, she was going to the club that night. I don't know. However the heck it ends up, he says, come on over. And so she does. Her and her friend go back to the bar. They hang out. Eventually, it's super late, and he's like completely blown her off because he's doing business stuff the whole time. And the friend leaves, and she stays back. And the waitress that did things for him earlier in the book and has been very regularly indicated that she has done stuff with him a lot. She's like, oh yeah, don't worry. Like I kept him real busy. And it's just, again, being a mean girl for no reason. It's like so weird. All of a sudden, in that exact moment, he shows up and he's like, no, I didn't do anything with you. Like today, anyway, at least. And then he leaves with Wendy. They end up full on doing it. Like now she officially, quote, loses her virginity. And she's like, maybe now that I've lost my virginity, people will take me seriously. And James's POV, he's like, man, maybe I really do like this girl. And I'm like, how often are we going to be asking that question? Are we going to be having the exact same questions and thought processes? And by the way, it is literally for the next 10 chapters. It doesn't stop. It literally never stops. Yapping, pillow talk. He dances around what he does for a living and reassures her that he has no idea who her father is. She mentions how she's going to bring her brother to boarding school the next day and how she has a brother, and he has to play ignorant because obviously he knows all of this because he has stalked her and her father. But he's like, oh, you have a brother? That's so cool. Like, I can go with you. So then they're going to go together to drop her brother off at the boarding school. Cool. In doing so, they end up at Wendy's house, and she is sleeping or getting ready or something. I don't know. I don't have it written down. Did they bone at her house and fall asleep there and wake up the next day? Maybe. I don't know. I don't have it written down, and I don't care to look. You can yell at me for that. I don't really give a shit. You can go and read it yourself if it really bothers you that badly. But anyway, they're at her house, and he decides, while she's preoccupied doing other things, that he's going to go for a little mosey. He's in his arch nemesis, his enemy's house. So yeah, he's going to go dig around and try and get some dirt. He ends up in Peter's office and runs into the little brother, John. They have a little bit of conversation back and forth. He sees John wearing the, academy shirt, and it's an academy that he wanted to go to when he was younger, that he wasn't allowed to. He knows that school is notorious for not treating the students very well, and so he's a little upset that he's going to be going to the school. So now he's even more happy that he's going to be going with them to drop off John. But also he gets a phone call from Rue, right, the business guy that he works for, and Rue says, hey, got a phone call back from Peter and I'm going to go and meet with him tonight. He says, oh, okay, sorry, boss, I'm not going to be able to make it. I've got other stuff going on. Rue says, okay, that's fine. I'll bring somebody else. But, okay, all right, talk to you later. Okay, so, right, James is stepping in and doing Peter's job as a dad while Peter is going off and pretty much hanging out with the equivalent of James's dad, his step-in father, and the fathers are going to go and try to figure out a drug deal, and all the kids are going to go to school or something. I don't know. You understand, right? Hopefully. On the drive up there, she notices the way that John and James talk, and she's very jealous of it because it's very friendly banter, and her brother just views her as a more, again, like a maternal figure, as oh my God, stop embarrassing me. You're all up in my business. But with James, he's actually talking to him. And so she's pretty jealous of this, but she's just happy, I guess, that John has some, male support. And by male support, I mean, when they go and drop him off at the school, they go inside, and then James goes and talks to the headmaster directly. And they go and have a talk in the headmaster's office where one can assume that he threatens the guy, to treat him right and to make sure that John has a good experience here, or he pays him off. I don't know. You threaten him or you bribe him or you do something to make sure that this kid has a good time at the school. In which case we're back to this idea of are you really trying to get revenge on Peter? Because you're really treating his kids, well, not really Wendy, but you're really going out of your way to treat this John kid right. That's kind of, you know what I mean? We're just getting mixed signals here. Mixed messages. Kid gets dropped off. James then goes to drop Wendy off, and then he's oh, I still have time. I'm going to go and meet Rue. And the meeting place where Rue and Peter were meeting is called Cannibal Cove. He goes. It's weird. There's something weird in the air, and he knows immediately that something is wrong. He goes into one of the rooms, and Rue is there, dead, very, 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 very brutally. Had his life ended. It's depicted pretty gruesomely. He sees this and he vomits, and it's just a horrific situation. And immediately, he's sobbing, he's crying, he lost his other father figure, and this is just not a good situation. And so his mind is reeling about how Peter killed yet another person that was essentially his family, and also immediately is I bet Wendy was in on this. Because he's she distracted me. She had me go to this school thing so that her father could kill Rue. You volunteered, for one. And for two, he's and, they said that a woman had exploited them and got the money from the people earlier in the day, or the other day, or whenever the heck it was. I bet the woman that got money from them for protection, I bet it was Wendy. Hey, you know what? We wouldn't have this problem if you would have asked what the woman looked like. Turns out, if you would have had a modicum, an iota of something, a little sketch artist, you got a lot of money. Dude could have could have described it. You know, maybe I would have assumed, you know, Peter shows up in town and he has this, you know, Tina Bell person. I would have assumed it was Tina Bell. Why is your first thought Wendy? Well, the first thought is Wendy because then when he stepped out of that shop, he immediately ran into her. And then I was like, so, okay, all right. Hey, grief makes you do some crazy things. So maybe he's just not thinking straight because Rue is quite frankly dead in front of him, right? So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll give him a pass. He's just processing some things. You know, maybe he's just, you know, first thing that comes to your mind. But no, he takes it a step further because... no, he like really, really, really believes that Wendy did this. And so 3 days goes by. It's Wendy's birthday. She's home all by herself. Her dad's off gallivanting. Her brother's at school. And James hasn't talked to her since they dropped her brother off. And she doesn't understand why. And it's just really sad. And she just wishes somebody would wish her a happy birthday. And then her phone rings. And she looks at the caller ID. And she realizes that it's her dad. And it makes her really, really sad inside. And because she wishes that it was James. Not that he would know when her birthday is. Like, that'd be really weird. They just met. But, you know, maybe James has filled the void that my dad always left in me. Huh? Okay. Cool. And so her father is calling her to let her know that he's hiring a new security because he's being blackmailed. And she's like, security? Dad, you've never had security for the house. Like, you have personal whatever, but, like, you've never had any here. What's going on? And he's like, don't worry about it. And she's like, Dad, you have to tell me. And then she hears Tina's voice in the background and she's like pissed off. She like hangs up on him. And then she picks up her hairbrush. I pick up my hairbrush from the vanity next to me and point to my reflection. You aren't a child, Wendy. You are a bad bitch. Giggling at the phrase. I run bristles over my hair, repeating the affirmation in my mind. I agree. You are most definitely not a child. It's James. He snuck into her house. You aren't a child, Wendy. You're a bad bitch. And I'm supposed to take her serious. No. What do you mean? That's so cringy. That's so weird. That's so like... You know what I mean? Like I said, he is still under the assumption that like she's in on it with her father and they killed Rue and is very, very angry. And so he ends up straight up like kidnapping her, and he pulls out his knife, and his knife is like hooked. It has a hooked blade, and she's like, that's how he got the nickname. That's how he has his name. Anyway, he's like super, super rough with her in a way, and like in a way that makes her realize that he's actually angry and this isn't like some foreplay thing. And then she's like, his eyes went black and I don't even know who this man is anymore. And then he like stabs her in the neck with a syringe. She passes out. And then when she wakes back up, she's like chained up in a dark room to a wall. Awesome. So cool. So cool. So cool. So cool. So cool. It's pitch black. Nobody around. She's freaking out. And then one of Hook's right-hand men, his name is Curly. Have I mentioned him yet? I don't know. There's people everywhere. He shows up. He tries to give her some food. She spits in his face. He says, all right, you can starve then, Beezy. She has no idea how long it's been, and she ends up falling asleep. And this time when she wakes up, she looks over and there's a table. Hold on. Okay. Okay. I'm not sure how many hours it's been, or maybe it's been days, but my vision has long since adjusted to the darkness. But I'm able to clearly make out a long table pushed against the far edge of the room. A small mound of what looks like packaged powder stacked at one end. Packaged powder? How in the fuck can you tell it's packaged powder in a pitch black room across the room? Okay. I squint my eyes trying to see clearer, to figure out if it's something that I can somehow get to and use to my advantage. But I know it's fruitless. There's nothing I can do. No weapons at my disposal. Not that I'd know how to use them even if there were. No chance of getting them even if I did. What with me being stuck to a wall? What with me being stuck to the wall? All I have now is my faith, trust, pixie dust. My heart stutters at this silky accent. Wait, how do you say pixie dust in a British pixie dust? My heart stutters at the silky accent, my stomach rising and falling like a roller coaster. My head snaps to the right, noticing for the first time since waking that there's a chair only a few feet away. You can't see the chair in the body of a big old man that you say takes up whatever the room every time he's here and you can sense him. But you can see across the room that a little packaged thingy-majiggy is a powder. And James is sitting in it, legs spread wide as he watches me, his gloved hand relaxing comfortably with the knife in his lap. He tilts his head toward the table I was staring at. What you're looking at is pixie dust. Okay. Anyway, so this is so stupid. So he goes on, right? She's chained up. He's got a knife. He's all threatening and like scary. And he's like, you know, you lied to me and you deceived me. And like, you're such a horrible person doing all this stuff. And she's like, I don't know what the frick you're talking about. I haven't done anything. And he's like, lying doesn't look good on you, princess. Blah, 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 blah. And they have this like entire back and forth. And then eventually he takes her down from the wall because he's like, you're no good to me, damaged. And then goes to get her like food and water. And he's like, don't make me regret unchaining you. And then he picks up like the pixie dust that was on the table and leaves. And so then I was like, so why was there pixie dust in the room in the first place? Is this just like your general storage area? Seems kind of like not very good logistics to have your prisoners and your goods in the same space, chained or not, you know? Just seems like a bad business practice. Anyway, so James, though, it's 3 days after the kidnapping, and he has been having nightmares. So, like, whenever he was, like, boning Wendy and they would fall asleep together, it was the first time in years that he felt comfortable enough to actually sleep, and he got the best sleep of his life. And then ever since he kidnapped her, he's been having nightmares, and particularly it's been nightmares of, like, Rue telling him how much of a frick up and a failure that he is and how he's doing things wrong. And he's also going through and, like, questioning all of his men to figure out who the other person was that went with Rue to the meeting with Peter that night to try to figure out what happened, which is understandable. So he's like questioning all of his men, going through all of this, still has Wendy in the basement, and decides that he's not really getting any information out of his people, and so he has to continue to enact his grand revenge plan. And this time that's going to be getting Wendy to go to this gala with him on his arm, and they're going to sit at the same table as Peter, and he's going to rub it in Peter's face as the grand reveal of like, you killed my, you know, boss man, pseudo father, partner in crime, blah, blah, blah guy that, you know, meant the world to me. So now I'm going to show up with your daughter on my arm. Like, you think you can get to me? No, I'm the captain, right? Trying to do one of those moves. So he goes to get Wendy. He tells her this. They have a whole bunch of tension where she's like, I'm not doing that, you crazy, crazy, insane person. And he's like, you have to, or I'm going to get your brother. And then she's like, oh my God, I have to do anything to protect my brother. And so then she just goes along with it. That's all it takes. And then she's like, okay, I guess I'll do anything that you say. And the whole time there's like tension between them where she's like, he's such a horrible, terrible person, and he's kept me chained up and basically tortured me and isolated me for 6 days, but he's kind of hot. Get up. Get up. The rage in my body. This book is so stupid. We're at chapter 24. I think there's only like 40 chapters in the book, so we're like almost there, guys. I think I only have maybe like 30 minutes or less left of this video, and if it's more than that, don't tell me. Not that you could. Okay, hold on. I have to start a new recording. So she was being like held captive in like the basement of not the Jolly Rancher, Jolly Roger? Whatever the name of the bar was that they kept going to out in the beginning or whatever. That's where she was being held at. And so Curly, the like henchman dude that I mentioned before, drives her back to James/Hook's yacht where he lives for her to get ready. And she's just reflecting on how James and her father are both, you know, using her and treating her terribly, and like reflecting on all of this. When she runs back into him at the yacht, he is again being so mean to her, and she's like, I seriously, like, I don't know what your issue is. Like, I don't know what your beef is with me right now. And so then he goes on to reveal like, yeah, I've known your father this entire time. I know exactly who your dad is. And he meant it to be one of those moments for her to be like, oh my God, he caught me in a lie. But instead she just gets really, really depressed because she's like, he lied to me and he has been using me, which I'm not sure how that correlates with being kidnapped. I don't know how him knowing that your dad is a rich guy. Oh, I guess maybe if he was like holding you hostage for money, maybe. It still like doesn't necessarily explain his behavior in any way. But she's also like still so happy to see him. And then she's like internally, she's like, oh, and we're back on the boat too, where I first made that joke about Stockholm syndrome, and here I am still wanting James even though he's been treating me so poorly. Get up. Get up. Just like rip my fucking shirt off. My face is so hot. I'm so angry. So she realizes all of this and she's like, yeah, this guy sucks. But low key, you know, I love him. Daddy, I love him. So he like locks her in this bathroom space so she can get ready for the night. And then he goes out to the kitchen and talks to you. Smee, the like ship dude that we talked about earlier. What was it called? The first mate. So they're talking and Smee's asking if he wants him to prepare the guest room, you know, if she's going to stay the night and if he should prepare a guest room for her. And James is like, what? Why do you think she's not going to stay in my bed with me? Oh, I hate that. It's all so gross. And then she's banging on the door because she's trying to like get out of the bathroom because she realized that she was locked in there. He lets her out and he sees her and how beautiful and elegant that she is. And he just can't take his eyes off of her. And he's, you know, he has two wolves inside of him. The one that wants revenge and the one that just wants to date and bone a pretty lady. I don't know. That's all I can say. So he gives her a diamond choker is the way that it's referred to. And hopefully I put up a picture of the type of diamond choker that like I was envisioning. But I think it's like just like a little diamond. Maybe I'll put a picture of what I thought of initially and then what I think it actually was meant to be. Cause I was imagining this like elaborate, you know, like a choker, but then it has like the layers of like multiple layers of jewels or like diamond encrusted things. Cause we're going to like a crazy elegant banquet thing. I don't know why I was being so bougie about it. But anyway, he gives her this necklace and he tells her, he says, every good bitch needs a pretty collar. Oh, keep in mind he calls her Pet as a nickname. Oh, cool. Again, hey, man, time and place, consenting adults that are like, whatever, no judgment. We are talking to an inexperienced 20-year-old on a yacht being Stockholm syndromed by her own account. Whether or not Stockholm syndrome is real is another argument. Don't start with me. I'm just saying what the book is saying, okay? You know, being Stockholmed into this relationship. And like, it's just icky. And it's about to get even ickier. And I don't want to talk about it, but I have to. So she puts on the collar, the choker, necklace thing, and then they go to the event. You know, they pose on the red carpet. They take some pretty pictures. Everything's all gorgeous. And she's gone to a bunch of these, right? Again, super, super rich dad. She's gone to these galas before and she's gone to these types of events. So she's like used to this whole prim and proper way to act, blah, blah, blah. And he continues to like threaten her. And he's like, if you say anything, if you make a peep, if you try to run, if you try to blah, blah, blah. And she almost snaps back at him when they get interrupted by the commissioner and his wife. And they make some like weird snarky comments about like, how much did he have to pay for her? And then the commissioner makes a comment about Rue, and that sends James on like a spiral, where he is like starting to have like a PTSD episode almost, like really, really bad reaction to it. And so she's like, come on, babe, my feet hurt. Let's go sit down. And she like tries to save him from the situation because, you know, she can really tell that he's not doing very well. And she just wants to be a supportive person. Even though he's a complete piece of shit to her and they were literally just fighting about him being a piece of shit, she's like, but he's hot. Okay. So they go and find a seat. They go to their table. They sit down. More threats, more talking, more whatever. And then they get interrupted as Peter, her father, approaches them. And James like grabs her thigh under the table and like squeezes really, really hard, communicating to her that she shouldn't say a thing and that like if she speaks out of turn that he's gonna like end her life, end her brother's life, end everybody's life. I don't know. Her father is completely surprised to see her and they begin having this like kind of passive aggressive argument between like all of them, where she's realizing that her dad didn't even know she was gone, that she had been kidnapped. He thought that she just had ran away and she was just like throwing a fit because he was going to hire security guards. And so he never like took it seriously or even tried looking for her or anything. And then they start making some snarky comments about why she's here with trash like Hook and like, you know, what is she doing with these like criminal underbelly type people? And she's like, you don't even know him, daddy. And he's like, you don't even know who you're dealing with, blah, blah, blah. Turns into this entire thing. And there is a comment, and I need to put in my like live reaction to this because it was bad. The server drops off the salad dishes and I pick up my fork, excitement thrumming through my veins as I spear a cherry tomato, reveling in the way Wendy fidgets and Peter glares. Leaning in my arm on the back of her chair, I place the fork out in front of Wendy's mouth. Hungry? She presses her lips together, shaking her head. I place it in my own mouth, the juices and seeds exploding on my tongue. I do love popping a good cherry. I just got to the part when they're at the dinner and he eats like a cherry tomato and he says, man, I love popping a good cherry. He says it to her father. Oh, I want to gag. Oh my God. I literally have tears in my eyes. Jesus Christ. Right? So, ew. They continue beefing, they continue arguing, whatever. He is like watching all of this. And Hook is like, this doesn't really seem like they're working together. This is actually kind of weird. There's a lot of tension between the two of them and fighting that I wasn't expecting. You know, I thought she would be surprised to see her dad here, but surprised in like a guilty way that would get her to admit that they were in on it or something. But instead, she keeps it a secret that he kidnapped her, and instead is like, again, really beefing and arguing with her dad to the point that when her dad says, hey, no, seriously, like, how did you two meet? He already told you, didn't he? Wendy cocks her head. He popped my cherry. Gasps sound around the table. I choke on the liquid of my drink, my hand shooting to my chest to stifle a cough. Wendy, Peter hisses. She smiles wide. What, Dad? Suddenly deciding to care again? Confusion slams into me. I understand her anger at him not knowing she was gone. Honestly, the thought of it does rankle. What? Does rankle a bit, but I can't imagine what she's getting out of this. They were already working together to destroy me. It wouldn't be a surprise that we've met, unless she had no idea. And so this is when he puts it together that like, oh, maybe she is innocent. Maybe this innocent, naive girl who I have talked about this entire time that is like very clearly inexperienced and like too innocent for the world and has no idea about anything going on. Maybe she had no idea about anything going on. Weird idea. Crazy thought. Crazy concept that we would have like some consistent character traits or consistent beliefs in other characters, you know? Anyway, there's some more stupid stuff. I don't know. He gets called outside to go and deal with something with one of his men, and he realizes like if she didn't know all of this and she has like continued to keep the secret about the kidnapping, and she's still wearing the collar of his and she hasn't said anything, so he kind of trusts her. And he says, hey, I'm gonna go and take this phone call or go and deal with this really quick, like just stay here. And she says, okay. She does. So he leaves the room, and then suddenly her dad is like, hey, seriously, you need to come and talk to me. We need to go outside. They step outside. The dad is like, Wendy, seriously, like, what the? And she's like, no, Dad, WTF to you? What is all this about? Like, why do you even know what Hook does? Like, you say he's a criminal. Why do you know him? She goes on, she's like, you haven't put in any effort since Mom died. I could have been kidnapped for all you know. I could have been missing for all this time, and like, you don't even care about anything. And then he snaps back and he's like, you don't know anything about me or your mother or Hook or anything. Like, you're just this like ignorant little girl. James appears. He's pissed off that they went outside. So he immediately goes up and he starts to confront Peter and like goes to threaten him like he's about to end his life. Wendy is like, no, you can't hurt my dad. You can't do that, James. Oh my God. And so then he goes over to Wendy instead. And he grabs her and he like twists her neck and he like puts his blade up to it. And he's like, you hear that, Peter? Your daughter's willing to save your life. Should I just take it in place of yours? Should I take her life in place of yours? And he doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything. And so Wendy realizes like her father really doesn't care about her at all. And so then James takes Wendy and they leave dramatically. And he takes her to the Jolly Roger where she was before, like where she had been like held in the basement and stuff, but it's burned down. So the thing that he got like called away with to have to go and deal with was the fact that his place had caught on fire. And she's like, oh my God, who would do this? And he's like, I'm pretty sure it was your freaking dad. She's like, oh, this is so terrible. And she starts to believe him, and especially after her dad just like pulled this shit with like not wanting to save her life. She's like, okay, maybe my dad really is this like terrible, horrible person that James is insinuating. Like maybe there is stuff that he's capable of that I never could have imagined. And then they go to drive to the marina, right, to go to his little yacht house thing. On the way there, he reveals about Rue being dead, because that had also come up. The commissioner and then like her dad had brought it up in some snarky way about his like family being dead or his partner being dead or whatever. And so then he finally tells her like, hey, this is what happened. And so they end up in bed together having like pillow talk, talking about everything. And she's like, yeah, you know, when my mom died, and tries to have like a bonding moment with him, like about grief. And then she's like about to fall asleep, but she doesn't want to because she's afraid that he's going to kill her in her sleep. And he's like, don't worry, your soul is safe tonight. And then when he's about to leave, she's like, Peter, James, Thomas, hello? James, Hook, before you leave, there's something I have to tell you. I watch your face. I watch you when no one's looking. I just want you to know that I see you. Okay. So she falls asleep, and then James goes on about life, trying to figure out, like, you know, what's going on, coping with like the loss, right? Losing Rue, losing the Jolly Roger. Is that what the hell it's called? I always feel like I'm saying it wrong. And the loss of the Jolly Roger, because that was like the first business or the longest business or whatever that he and Rue had together. It was just like a very like sentimental kind of place. And so losing both of these, he's like just dealing with the loss of this and thinking through all of this when Smee comes in. Again, the first mate who hangs out on the Tiger Lily yacht ship thing. He comes in to have a little chit chat with him, and he has a pocket watch that he bought, and it starts ticking very, very loudly. And this is a trigger of James's, because his uncle had pocket watches like that, and his uncle was Croc, and the pocket watch thing like makes him think of the times when his uncle would abuse him. And so it's very, very triggering for him. And so he starts to like lose his mind. And so he breaks this pocket watch thing that Smee pulls out. He is horrified by this, a little scared of James for having this type of reaction. And then James like storms off and decides that he's going to go to the lagoon, which is another one of their businesses that they had. He calls the waitress into his office. He interviews her a little bit, or interrogates her, I guess, about like what happened for the Jolly Roger to have been caught on fire. And she's like, I don't know, I was just working and it was a normal day, and then all of a sudden, boom. And so he has her stay in the room. She tries to make, you know, some advances on him, and he continually turns her down and just tells her to shut up and wait in the corner, or like, you know, be quiet and just like sit there. And then he calls in like all of his employees and asks them the same thing. Like, where were you tonight? What was going on? What's the vibe? You know what I mean? So they have all of this discussion, reflection, whatever you want to call it, with her in the room. This ends when the twins return, and the twins come into his office and they say, it's done, boss. And then they all leave. And so all of this was really just getting him an alibi, because the twins went and caught like all of Peter's airplanes on fire out at the airfield, like just to like get back at him for setting the Jolly Roger on fire. They go and like burn down all of his airplanes. At that same time, he gets a message from Smee saying that Wendy is gone. When we cut back to Wendy's POV, we're in chapter 35. Like I said, I think we have 7 chapters left. Praise be. Oh no, we don't. Oh no, there's 47 chapters. There's 10 chapters. Oh no. Okay, sorry. Fuck, I thought we were closer. I thought there was only 42. I gotta step it up. It's 7:20. I gotta keep going. In Wendy's POV, she had asked Smee explicitly. She's able to leave the room, and then she asked Smee explicitly if she could sit outside, because she's like, I just need some sunlight. And he says, okay, I guess. And so she goes outside. She doesn't go very far. She literally just goes to the end of the dock to go and sit out there and like put her feet in the water. And she's like, again, thinking about this whole Stockholm syndrome thing. And she's like, I don't even think about running. I don't even want to go anywhere because also, where would I even go? I don't have a job. I don't have an education. I don't have a family. My brother's gone. My dad probably hates me. The house is empty. I have nothing going for me. I have to stay here with this man, which is not romantic. That's really fucking sad. Like, really incredibly sad. That's not, like, cool. And in the middle of this reflection and thinking how she doesn't even want to leave, Hook shows up because he got that message from Smee that she was missing. It's, like, really weird. And so he shows up all pissed, grabs her by the arm, hard enough to bruise. So often in this book, it's described about how he is leaving red marks and bruises on all of the women that he touches. Her specifically, constantly. He, like, picks her up by the arm and is yelling at her and dragging her back onto the ship, you know, accusing her of leaving and, like, how did you even get out of the room? The door was locked. And she's like, it wasn't locked. It was unlocked when I opened it. And he's like, no, it wasn't. How did you escape? Chill out. She at least says that much. She calls him insane, and he's like, oh, you think I'm crazy? And then they start making out, and she's like, I don't even know what to think anymore. He's so hot and cold, his Dr. Jekyll and Hyde personality, but he's just so hot, and I think I love him. And he is reflecting on his outburst toward her and the anger that he felt and his concern as he was driving back from the lagoon to the yacht. And he's like, the whole time, I wasn't even mad. It didn't even cross my mind that she would run away. I was more just worried that she had gotten taken. And I'm so pissed off because I was so worried about her. And I think I love her. As if that's supposed to justify the behavior. As if now I'm supposed to be like, oh my God, he just doesn't know how to show emotion. He does love her. Again, knock it off with that, please. She ends up trying to get more clothes from the waitress or something. Like, the waitress gets her some clothes and keeps her distracted doing some stuff. I don't know. They bone and he rips her clothes off of her body. So then she needs more. So then she's, like, busy dealing with all of that. And he goes to do another interrogation, which is just torturing. One of the traders, blah, 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 what do you think you're doing? Why would you turn your back on me? And he's like, man, they just got some really cool tattoos. You treat your people really poorly. And this other guy, you know, called it out and he treats us so much better. And you get some really cool tattoos when you're in the gang. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, there was this woman that this guy hired, you know, and she started sleeping around with a bunch of us and she convinced us to start working for him. And, yeah, it's just like, it's really cool. And James is like, oh, okay, noted. There's another woman that's getting brought up and this is like a weird situation. And like, what's this tattoo that you're talking about? And he's like, yeah, it's a crocodile. And then there's like some clocks. Like there's like, you get like a clock and a crocodile tattooed on you. And that makes him spiral because again, his uncle's name was Croc with the whole clock thing. And then that's what makes him have his PTSD thoughts about his childhood. And he's like, how would anybody even know that? How would anybody even know that that's like a trigger of mine or know anything about my uncle? Like that wasn't even in this area. Like I'm pretty sure the uncle thing was in like a different city or something. I don't know. He's just like starts to lose it a little bit. And then he's like, okay, fine. You know about the woman. What was the woman's name? Who was the woman? And right as the guy is about to say it, he gets shot. The like henchman that James had with him that day to like interrogate this guy ends up shooting and killing the guy before he can say the woman's name, which is awfully suspicious. So the idea going into all of this, right, is that the woman was Tina Bell, in that maybe Tina Bell is recruiting for, I mean, it has to be his dead uncle, right? Like that's the only option. That's the only person that would know any of this stuff. But now we don't have any confirmation because dude shot the guy. So now we're like back to square one, and he's just like really, 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 really pissed off and frustrated with the world. And then he ends up going home to Wendy and they're locked in some embrace and he has a hard time admitting his emotions for her. And there's like supposed to be romance between them. And he regrets how he's treated her because now he realizes that like she wasn't responsible for any of this. And he has the even more validation that she was like an innocent bystander in all of it. And so they like make up and they bone again. And I swear to God, so often I was just like, good God. And so I've mentioned it before. I have the little robot voice that reads to me. And so it would be reading and then I would do like a big swipe and then it would be like more and more inappropriate, like spicy words, and then I'd do another big swipe and it'd be another super inappropriate spicy word, and again and again and again. And they just like, these scenes are so drawn out and detailed and like gross. Anyway, so like he finally admits, at least to himself anyway, like he realizes that he loves her, and so he tells her that she can do anything she wants. She gives him a phone, you know, he gives her access to a car. He's like, yeah, if you want to go to work, even though you haven't been to work for weeks and you're probably fired, like, you can do anything you want. You're free to roam. Here's your phone back. Like, do whatever you want to do. You are no longer imprisoned. You know, he verifies that he hasn't slept with any other woman or done anything with any other woman since he touched her. But he does say that, like, he needs to kill her dad, because he finally opens up to her about thinking that her dad killed his family with the whole plane explosion thing, and she can't believe any of this stuff, and she's like, but James, that's my father. And he says, I know, but I have to do what I have to do, and I can't let you stop me. And so then she's left on the boat while he goes and runs some errands and stuff, and she has to reconcile these feelings of like her father abandoning her and being a horrible person that, you know, she at least used to love and admire, and then now with her boyfriend guy, and, you know, dealing with all of these thoughts and feelings with him, and, you know, this rivalry between them, and she's just like can't figure out how she feels about any of it. And then she ends up talking to Smee, who is still on the ship, hanging out with her, getting her food and stuff, and they're chit-chatting, and she's trying to get more information about Peter and asking about, you know, how they met and how he came to live on the boat. And he's like, yeah, you know, James helped me a really long time ago. You know, he's a good man, Savannah. And you know, just a little talk there. She asks if he has any family, and he gets like really weird about it, and she's like, oh, sorry, I'm just being nosy. And then they just change topics. The only thing I think to mention is like, she talks about wanting to go back to that cafe thing, back to work, and all he does is ask her to just make sure that she's always wearing her diamond choker. And she's like, what? And he says, yeah, you know, I like the idea of you just being covered in jewels all the time. So, oh, okay, well, that's kind of weird. And so he's going on about his business, like I said, right? Which is pretty much meaning he takes his like inner circle, which is like the twins, the Lost Boys. He takes those two. He has like two other ones that he's like close with on his inner circle. And they get every single one of his other men and has them search all of their bodies to see if they have any tattoos of any crocodiles or clocks or anything, and to bring them to like whatever torture chamber that they're going to go and do this out and get all the information out of them, right? While all of that's happening, James goes back to the ship, talks to Smee, and Smee's like, you're changing for this girl, boss. And he's like, yeah, I am. And then Wendy and James bone yet again, and then she's like, I love you, James. And then he can't say it back because he's just such a broken, sad man inside that he doesn't know what to do with all these emotions. But he does love her. He really does. And she makes a comment. He asks if she's okay. I'm fine. I'm just trying to find some humor in our less than ideal start. What a story for the grandkids, huh? His eyes flare, and I realize what I just said, my chest pulling. Not that I think we're going to have kids or that they'll have kids. It's just a phrase, really. I mean, I know we're still really new, even though we are technically living together, aren't we? Say it with me. Get up. What do you mean? How do we get to a situation like this, guys? I don't understand. I really don't. And instead of saying I love you back, sorry, I forgot. I didn't realize I had all of these annotated, these cringy ass lines. This was highlighted by 35,000 people in response to this whole kids thing and everything. And he's like, yeah, we are living together. And for the record, I would give you the world. You simply have to ask. You want kids? Done. You never want to work again? Done. You want to watch the world burn? Let me guess, you'll set it on fire? He chuckles, the sound vibrating through me and settling into my bones. No, darling. I'll hand you the match and stand at your back, watching you become the queen of ashes. Okay, cringe aside, my breath stalls at his words, at what he's really saying, and that, as morbid as it seems, hits me in the center of my chest, making warmth spread with every beat of my heart, because James sees me as his equal, as someone worthy to stand at his side. He literally said that what was it? That bitches deserve pretty collars? And he calls you pet. And again, I'm under the thing. I know, hey, there's dynamics that people, consenting adults, get into, that like you could still view someone as your equal and say those things to them. Don't preach to the choir. Shut up. Don't comment about it. What I'm saying, though, is in this particular dynamic, there is no way in hell that this man has any respect for this girl, that he has any respect for this woman. This is like horrific, dude. Anyway, back to business. He is torturing all of the guys that has the watch and crocodile tattoos. There's like 3 of them that they were able to find, and he does some pretty gruesome, horrible things to them to get them talking. Eventually they do, and they reveal that the woman that keeps getting referenced in all of these situations is the waitress. The one that gave him the sloppy toppy. That's so funny to me. Yeah, that girl that keeps popping up in all these situations throughout the story, she's working for the other guy. It's always the ones you most expect. So while he's doing that and getting this information and whatnot, Wendy gets a phone call from her little brother, and he says whole bunch of stuff. Really, the highlights are that apparently James has been calling him every single day to check in on him and about how he's doing at school. Oh, that's so wholesome. And then also that their dad called him and wanted him to meet him at the house that night. And so he's asking to make sure that Wendy will be there because he doesn't want to be alone with his dad. Because, like, there's just awkward tension between the two of them, right? And so she's like, yeah, of course, I'll be there. And so she goes over to the mansion where they live, right? She goes back to her house, and this is the first time that she's been there in, like, I don't know, a week? Weeks? How long's it been? I don't know. Who cares? Time's an illusion. She rolls up. The security there don't recognize her. Talk about some shitty security. You think they'd have, like, pictures of her or something. But she goes in there, and she can't find her dad, and her brother's not there yet. But she finds Tina Bell, and she is... She's like blitzed out on pixie dust because apparently Peter is working with a new supplier, and so somebody had to test it, and so she was testing it. I don't know. Then they get in an argument because she's like, oh my God, you are high. And then she's like, you're not better than me, bitch. And then hits her over the head with a vase. And then she passes out. And then we go to chapter 44. This is about to get crazy. This is literally about to get so insane. I was like dying laughing this entire time, and I'm so happy that this book is about to be over. So cut back to James, and he's at work doing all this stuff, and he's in his office, and the waitress lady comes in. He tackles her immediately, throws her on the ground, starts like trying to get information from her, finds out that she has a crocodile tattoo on her neck, and she's like, yeah, I'm working for Croc. I'm not working for you. And he's about to off her. And then she's like, you wouldn't want to do that because he has your sweet Wendy darling, and I'm the only one that can get you to her. And that's actually a lie because Wendy's still wearing the choker. Turns out the choker necklace has a GPS tracker. So he does the GPS tracker. She's back at Cannibal Cove, which is where he found Rue when Rue had been murdered, right? So back over there. So then he's like, what the hell is she doing at Cannibal Cove? That's so crazy. How does anybody know what this place is? So he drives there, leaves the waitress with like one of his inner circle henchmen people, and then brings the twins with him to go to try to find Wendy. They get to Cannibal Cove. They turn the corner. She's there, tied up to a chair, passed out, bleeding from her head. It's not looking good. He's freaking out. He's like, oh my God. And then Peter, her father, appears, and he's like, what the fuck, Peter? You'd really hurt your own kid? And he's like, it's not like that. She wasn't supposed to get hurt. And then the big reveal. Croc steps out. It turns out Croc is Smee. The first-hand shipmate guy. The unsuspecting little servitude homeboy that we thought was cool. Turns out he's the big bad guy. And then one of the other guys that was close to him, Starkey, I think he's the one that had shot the one guy before he could say the waitress's name the first time, that like accidentally shot too soon and was like, oh my God, I'm sorry, man. Turns out he was working for Smee. He was working for Smee the whole time, or Croc, or whoever the fuck we're talking about right now, the whole time. And so he did that on purpose before the guy could reveal it and, foil the plot or whatever. So that's what's there. So like half of his freaking crew are a bunch of traitors, right? So homeboy then pulls out a gun and holds it to Wendy's head. And James like threatens to kill Croc. And he goes on to explain that... Smee, the new Croc, goes on to say, yeah, when you killed like the OG Croc, when you killed your uncle, that was my dad. You killed my dad. And so I'm getting my revenge on you for killing my father. And I knew that the only way that I could get you here is if I had Wendy. And I want to take away the one thing that you love because you took away the one thing that I loved. And Peter was there. Whoa, how does this work? Smee, the new Croc, partnered with Peter to get access to Wendy. So it's like literally they were doing the same thing, where like they were both trying to get revenge on the guy who killed their dad, and that Wendy was the only way to get to them. Does that make sense? Like there's some crazy triangle stuff that's like happening right now, and it's just like, it's a lot. But James Hook had no idea that Smee, new Croc, was or is his cousin. Had no idea that they were like related, but now he's like, oh, we do kind of look alike. And in this moment, he's got his like hair slicked back and he's wearing this like well-fitted suit. He really does look like me, and I could see the resemblance now, and this like plot for revenge and both of us like wanting to get Wendy. It is ironic, and he must be related to me, and blah 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 blah. It's like so like evil villain cartoon-esque plot twist reveal thing that happens, and it's literally about to get significantly worse. You have no fucking idea where this is about to go, okay? So Smee ends up stabbing him, like stabs James. They make some like threats, they have some arguments, and he's saying, essentially Peter's like, dude, or James. Sorry, there's so many people. James is pretty much like, hey dude, you have no idea, like your dad, my uncle, was a freaking monster. I pretty much saved you. Like, you should be really actually very, very happy that you never had to deal with him. He's like, don't badmouth my dad, blah, blah, blah. Like, tension, fighting, a bunch of stabbing, a bunch of arguments, and whatever. Smee, new Croc, is like the big reveal of like, I want to see the look on your face when I take away the thing that you love the most. And he's about to kill Wendy. And then Peter, Wendy's dad, who's over here, he's like, hey, that wasn't part of the deal. You said Wendy wasn't going to get hurt, and she was just here to like, be like collateral, or to lure him out here so we could kill him, but you didn't say anything about hurting my daughter. And he's like, shut up, Peter, this isn't about you. And then Peter ends up shooting and killing Smee, and then also killing like the henchman guy that was there, Starkey. So now both of those guys are dead. And hold on. So he kills these two people. And then Peter says, Tina, you can come out now. Tina stands from where she was crouching behind a large rock, hiding this whole time. I cringe as I stand. This is, what's his name? James. We're in James's POV. I cringe as I stand, my hand pressing against my side, the burn radiating through my torso. My feet stumble from the way dizziness overtakes me. But I breathe deep, trying to keep my eyes focused. Your name is James Barry? Peter asks, tilting his head. It is, I reply. I've imagined this moment for years, the look that would cross Peter's face as he realizes who I am. But now, I only feel hollow. I force my feet to move as I walk toward my knife, grunting from the pain and bending to pick it up, a gush of fresh blood spurting from my wound and seeping through my shirt. I'm not sure how deep the puncture is, but my body is becoming chilled, and I'm sure I'm losing more blood than what anyone would deem a reasonable amount. You look just like your father, Peter continues, and your brother looks like you. Your brother? Did you say brother? And in chapter 46 from Wendy's POV, it opened. Hold on, I'm showing the screen so you can see the part that I have highlighted. It literally opens with her thinking, how many secret family members does James have? said, I don't know. I'm asking the same thing. I want to know too. You tell me. What is happening? This is the final chapter of the freaking book, bro. So, the big reveal, it all comes together, is the reason that Peter killed James's family was because James's dad had an affair with Peter's wife, aka Wendy's mom. They boned and they had John. So the reason that Peter is such a dick to John is because that's his like illegitimate child. And so Peter killed his wife and killed James's family for like revenge, and then now he treats the kid like crap. Okay, right? Not justified in any way. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that like there's at least a supposed reason about why he just like randomly offed all of these people. But this is the big reveal to Wendy, right? Because she's like, oh my God, I had no idea, and you're speaking so ill of my mother, and I thought that, you know, she was just in a car accident. Like, did you actually kill her? You actually did all this stuff? Like, you really are a monster. And he's like, yeah, whatever, you don't even know the half of it. Peter holds the gun to James's head, and he says, do you have any last words? And Wendy can tell that he's about to say that he loves her. And she's like, don't you dare say it. Don't say it. And he says, the greatest thing I've ever done in my life was to love you, Wendy darling. And then she starts to flail. So she's being held down by like Tina right now. Tina like had her like by the hair and was like holding her. And so she wails, freaks out, starts like flopping everywhere, freaking headbutts the shit out of Tina. And so Wendy gets up, grabs like one of the 87 guns floating around this room and shoots Tina like point blank in the forehead. Oh, and then turns and points it to her dad. And she's like, Dad, like, tell me it's not true. Like, tell me everything that you're saying is a lie. And he's like, I can't, you know, I'm sorry, Wendy. Like, it is what it is. Like, you need to put the gun down though. Like, it can't be this way, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'm sorry too, Dad. And then shoots her dad in the head. What? Then she passes out from the shock of it, and she like falls to the ground sobbing. I think it was described that like her body and her dad's body hit the ground at the same time because she was like wailing from the guilt or the whatever of what she had done. So she hits the ground crying, freaking out about this. James crawls over to her and like holds her, and then she eventually comes to. In the final chapter, they have like the funeral for the dad, and the official story is that Smee had killed him, and they like painted it as that he was just some like, you know, low-level drug dealer guy caught up in a thing and was like trying to exploit him for money or some stupid whatever story to make it disappear. And then obviously they couldn't take James to the hospital because there would be too many questions and witnesses or something. So they ended up having to do like 47 stitches at home in a blood transfusion. Not sure how they managed that, but what do I know about the criminal underbelly world? So they do all that stuff and he's fine. He got through it. And then long story short, they live happily ever after. Is anybody surprised? I'm trying to think if there's literally anything else. Nope, that's really about it. Jonathan, the little brother, comes to live with them on the Tiger Lily, and that way he can actually be like homeschooled. And then the epilogue is 2 years later, and they're on their second child, and they've been married for a year, and they're like traveling the world on the yacht. That's the story. That's the book. Hope you liked it. I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind. Every week when I talk about one of these, every single week when I talk about one of these, I'm just like, I literally feel like I'm getting dumber every time I read one. Again, I'm not yucking anybody's yum. If you liked this, that's cool for you. I'm not trying to be like an elitist about literature. If you're reading, that's awesome. That's all that matters. And if this is how you escape the hellscape that is the world today, then I love that for you. And I'm not going to judge anybody, but this is ridiculous, bro. This is insane. I mean, it was fun, right? Like, I burst out laughing probably like 7 times reading this book because of like the audacity of it all. So like, no judgment, man. Hey, I love to turn my brain off and read dumb shit too. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is always so funny to me when this happens because I get I reviewed like Animal Farm earlier this week, like really, really serious, like political satire book. And then we review something like that. I guess it's all about balance. Oh, Lord have mercy. So anyway, it is officially 8 o'clock. It's 7:56. Let's see if I can edit this and get this up tonight. Okay, I'm so hot. I'm so hot. And if you made it this far, Sam, I'm joking. I'm blaming you for being hot because I turned off the ceiling fan. I'm so hot. I don't think it's not from the fan. I'm just like overwhelmed with like frustrated emotions. Anyway, okay. Thanks guys. Thanks for sticking this out. I appreciate you so much, especially if you made it to this point in the video. You're awesome. I love you. I appreciate each and every single one of you. I don't know. That's all I got. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.